So, what happens when you die?
Oh, he knows? Oh, thank God.
Well, no. What happens when you die?
Oh, I thought
is
he
the
knew
question.
for everybody. Welcome to week 15 of PIX on Pigskin from the PIX 11 Sports Department, high above 42nd Street in the heart of New York City. I'm your host, Todd Ehrlich, the executive producer of the PIX 11 Sports Department. With us today, a man who is a bicentennial draft pick. If you don't know what year that is, look it up. Played well enough to land himself on the all-time Jets team. After his playing career, has served as the pre- and post-game host on the Jets radio network for as long as I can remember. And there's no way to misremember him if you ever saw him play, saw him on TV, on the New York Blitz Weekly, or heard him on the radio, the one, the only, Greg Buttle!
Why don't you just get that canned instead of pretend?
Oh,
Get it canned like it.
We should.
like get Jim Cutler to read it.
That would be good.
That'd be great. Why don't
Yeah,
we do that?
we should.
And then just roll it in.
All right.
Good advice.
That's why he's here. He's got great ideas.
Yeah, great ideas.
Oh, by the way, that's 1976. Just for
That
me?
is
okay. I just want to make sure.
1976.
All right.
Summa cum laude, Syracuse? No. Joining us this week and every week, our resident NFL expert, the host of the New York Blitz, a friend of Greg Buttle, a friend of mine, and a friend of anybody who listens to the podcast, Joltin' Joe, no average Joe, Masseri.
I'm trying to build that fan base every week.
And you're doing a great job. Another thing you built was the rundown for the show. The Jets have been officially eliminated from the playoffs. So what should Jet fans focus on when watching their games? The Giants haven't been eliminated from the playoffs. They also haven't determined if Daniel Jones is their franchise quarterback. We'll examine that just like the doctors who are examining his neck. But let's start with the Jets since we have Greg Buttle here. Greg, if you were playing today, you were a captain, obviously, and a leader of your teams at Penn State and the Jets. How would you deal with the COVID issue?
First of all, although I was a leader of what you said, it was pretty factual. I'm not a doctor, but that being said, I think that you'd have to have, just like really winning teams do, they have a way they go about to do business, and you've got to mold yourself into that. When I say that, I mean you've got the veterans there that have done it. The rookies come in and they're told this is what you have to do. If you want to be on this team and you want to win, this is what you got to do. So COVID comes around. Hi guys, this is what we're doing. We're not going out partying. You're not going to go to these places. You're going to go with a buddy out to dinner. Okay, that's fine. But you're not going out there and having big parties with anybody because you can't take the chance of getting sick and then missing a game. And because you missed the game, we lose. That's on you. So my thing is that there has to be a better diligence on the players to remain, I don't want to say isolated, but I want to say relatively isolated so that you don't go get this and then spread it or, meet somebody where you shouldn't be. I don't mean shouldn't be, but nobody really knows how you get it anyway. I mean, you can say everything you want, but you've got to be very careful. Not because you're going to die from it, because you're going to cancel a game from it. Now, that's a lot of money for you. That's a lot of, you may never happen again in your career. So people don't understand that. When I say people, young players don't understand the immediacy of what a win is and what it means.
I'll
Good
say right
advice.
now, I don't think I could do that. Going back to 20-something Joe Masseri, and I don't think that's an easy thing to do for these, young players.
But
And I get it's their livelihood.
That's why you need leaders like Greg Buttle.
100%.
Or coaches like Belichick.
And take it one step further, though, because it's not just them missing a game. The way we're seeing this spread around teams now, it's their teammates that end up missing a game because somebody
Yes.
brings it back into that
Close
facility.
contact, yep.
And so now, I mean, it's spreading quickly, and I can't believe they're going to play the Browns and Raiders, but it seems like they're going to play the Browns and Raiders.
Well, and the other question I wanted to ask, one other thing is, and I don't get it. I'm saying this out, and it's like not tongue in cheek, but it's really questioning. If in fact your football team is a bunch of 20 to 30-year-olds in the best shape of their life, who cares if they get COVID?
Right.
Who cares? Go out and play the game. So what? It's rampant around here. Nobody's dying from it. When I say nobody, of course people are going to die from it that have comorbidities or at an age that it's questionable and things that are happening. You don't want to get it if you're the person. But when it comes to the NFL, first of all, they're not even near fans, so they're all on the field. Why does it affect what the NFL's doing?
They're near coaches who are not in the same shape, and they could get sick. And some of the coaches are not svelte, and their families. So it could spread from the team to the coaches to their families. It could spread. Look at some of the reporters.
If people say the mixed messaging on this stuff is unbelievable. Mandated, go out and get your vaccine and get your double vaccine
and your booster.
All right, and wear a mask.
Yes,
and don't go here.
Yes,
and you can only do. Well, what's up? When does it stop? When do you?
That's where it stops. Get your vaccine, get your double vax, get your booster, wear a mask, and don't go into crowded places. That's where it stops. That's it. And if we can do that, we can control it.
No, but it doesn't
if we
stop
can
there.
control it,
No,
it'll die. It does stop there. Where does it go? I love fighting with you.
Where's it stop?
What do you mean? I just told you where it stops.
You see the
that
mandates.
was it.
You see the mandates? No, it's not. It's never going to stop.
Well, it's going to stop.
What, the mandates that you have to wear a mask? You mean those mandates?
The mandates that you have to get vaccinated and everything else. So when do
you just
people
said
not
to
get
get
it?
vaccinated.
When do people not
You're
get
vaccinated.
When do people not get the virus?
Oh, when do they not get it? I don't know.
But what they're saying is, and what they've been saying since the beginning of this pandemic, is if you can get herd immunity and people wear masks and they're safe, that will stamp out the virus. If you have people that are not getting vaccinated, it will spread. If you have people that are not wearing masks, it will spread. And then it's going to be hard to stamp it out, as you say.
I don't think that this virus is going to go away, right? Like it's not going. We like the flu, and it's something that's going to exist, right? But it's about how we manage it. Yes, we're seeing this new variant that is obviously more mild in symptoms, but part of that, at least doctors are attributing to the fact that people are getting vaccinated, and that if they go to they're not having to go to the hospital because they have their vaccine. So it stops there. You wear the mask.
Which is much better. People aren't dying. Hospitals aren't getting overrun. We're not short of ventilators. So it's much better, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, how this goes and affects the teams moving forward. But the NFL it's funny because when you listen to the policies that the NFL is talking about changing, some of the policies are, okay, we're going to have virtual meetings. Yes. We're going to wear masks around the facility so that we don't spread among each other.
They're already doing that.
But also, to Greg's point, because these are 20 and 30-somethings in the best shape of their lives, they're talking about one negative test before they go back to playing again for the vaccinated players.
Instead of 2 in 24 hours, right?
Right, so that they can get back on the field faster and they're not missing as many players.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting because if they institute this rule next week and the Browns lose this week and miss a playoff spot because of it, the competitive balance, I think, is the real question as it pertains to the NFL.
But Greg said that winning franchises should institute rules to protect themselves from getting it. He laid out very clearly how they can do that. So if the Browns did not do that, it's on them.
Yeah, but this is a disease. This is a virus that goes with a lot of these healthy people in the prime of their lives not displaying any symptoms, right? So you could get this not displaying.
That's why if you followed Greg's plan, you only went out to dinner with one other person, then you're not putting yourself in a position to get it.
I don't know. I'm not putting that out there on these players. They interact with everybody.
Listen, I follow what Captain Buttle says.
Yeah, but your bubble is so huge.
No, I have a big bubble.
There you go.
But in that bubble is Captain Buttle.
Yes.
And I follow what he says.
So anyway, it's a very, very difficult issue.
It is very difficult.
And by the way,
but I feel like we solved it. right here.
Okay,
On this
all right,
podcast.
That's enough of that. No.
All right, so let's move on to
That's a
football.
big burden. That's a big burden on us.
I know, but you already solved it. You took on that burden, you shrugged, Atlas shrugged, and we're good.
The simplicity.
Can I move back to football, please?
Let's go.
All right, you always take us off the rails. So, Zach doesn't seem to be making the progress that the Jets or their fans wanted. What have you seen from him in terms of progress to this point, and how do you feel about the progress he's made? He's clearly the quarterback next year.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Seriously speaking, do you think that the New England Patriots, no matter who was playing quarterback, would have the same record they have today?
No.
I think picking Mac over Cam was the right move.
Oh, that's
what I think.
But I don't think for 1 second that if Cam Newton was there, they wouldn't have a similar record. I think that they're a good football. Are you listening
ball
to me?
over
Or are you
more.
telling me?
I'm telling you. Asked me to tell you.
No, but I'm
so I'm
telling
sharing with you. Sharing is caring, and I care about you.
Joe, this is getting very hard for me.
I'm glad I'm here for you to turn to.
I can't finish a sentence with this guy.
So would the Patriots have the same record if they had somebody else at quarterback?
Question, Joe.
Also, so my point is this: look, the Patriots are a good football team. They're not a good football team because the quarterback is great. They're a good football team because the quarterback's not making so many mistakes, but they got a good football team. Their defense is awesome. Their offensive line is awesome. Their receivers are really good. They can run the ball. Their special teams are good. Now, can you say the same thing about the Jets?
No.
No. Can you say the same thing about the Jaguars?
No.
Can you say the same thing about the Houston Texans?
No.
No, because there's a lot of moving pieces on these teams that don't fit right now. And so until the Jets have all those pieces that fit right, Zach Wilson will struggle. Their injuries are tremendous. Their youth is tremendous. Their brand new coaching staff. So you take a look and think, all right, I mean, there's certain advantages other teams have. If you think because you drafted Zach Wilson #1 last year, that's going to be the difference between them being good or bad, you're crazy.
Right, but that wasn't the question. The question is, what progress have you seen out of him to this point in the season?
I changed the question because I wanted to comment.
That's it. I don't like the rules of this game.
You know what? I like your
make
question
up my
better.
own rules.
Right, I like your question better.
So my point is that there's all of this nonsense about Zach Wilson and the question. I go. There's so many reasons that it takes to be a good quarterback in this league. But you cannot be a good quarterback in this league if you don't have the talent to be that.
Do you think he has the talent?
I absolutely believe this kid has the talent. He's got more talent than Sam Darnold has. That's #1. #2 is, does he have more talent than Tom Brady? He may. He's more mobile than Tom Brady. His arm's as good as Tom Brady. But he has no experience like Tom Brady. And his brain may not even be close to what Tom Brady's brain is.
Well, science says our brains aren't fully developed until we're 25 anyway, so he's got a couple of years.
It comes out of frontal lobe and
Yeah.
decision making and all that kind of stuff. I want to get into it, but I'm saying give the kid a break and quit analyzing the kid every single throw he makes. Did he make a couple bad throws last week? Absolutely. Did the ball slip out of his hand a couple times? Yes, it slips out of everybody's hand. But when it slips out of his hand, he's not good enough. He's not making progress. When he makes the wrong read, which every quarterback can, it's because he's not making the progress. It's a tough job, that quarterback position. And I will tell you something. Outside of maybe the cornerback, one-on-one, out in that area where every penalty is going to be called against him, quarterback is the top job. That's the second toughest job. So let the kid figure it out. I love the fact that the Jets have thrown him out there and know that he's got the constitution not to fall apart. I don't want to say see ghosts. I think that was an anomaly. But the kid has got what it takes to play in the league. Let him learn how to play the game. Next year's going to be next year. He's going to have a couple new players. He's going to have some more veterans come into the team. His offensive line will be better. Wide receivers hopefully will be all healthy. I don't think the Jets have had healthy wide receivers in 4 years, let alone guys that can make big plays.
Right.
You find out today or this week or this month or this year, This kid Elijah Moore's pretty good.
Very good.
Now he's pretty good and he's a rookie, so he could be better next year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's topped out. Is Corey Davis? Well, Corey Davis has been injured. He's here, he's there, but the kid can play. Jamison Crowder, he could still play. He's going to be a free agent. He may not be here next year, but that's a good player. You've got Mims. Mims is questionable because is he a head case? Does he really know how to run? Does he recognize a zero blitz? And what does he do on a zero blitz? It's not just the quarterback that can recognize a zero blitz. Wide receivers have to do this. Tight ends, hot receivers. So there's a lot to be done. It's more than just blowing up the football.
But you look at this, and I agree with you. I think Zach Wilson has a lot of talent. Just the way he moves out there in the pocket when he's rolling out and the throws that he's made. But his guys aren't picking him up, right? Ty Johnson had 3 drops in the first quarter last week. That is just killers, every one of them. But then you see the throw to Robert Griffin that is just nowhere near it. So when he's wide open, and it seems like we know the margin for victory. Forget about victory, but just on any given play, the margin is so thin, right? And it seems like the Jets just can't get it to click. And you need all 11 guys out there, and they can't get all 11 on the same page for a series. Forget about an entire game in a lot of these. So do you think that, and I know that comes from chemistry, I know that comes from time working together and seeing the same thing out there, the wide receivers and the quarterbacks and the line, sliding protection and all that stuff. Do you see anything that says that they are seeing the same thing when they're out there?
I watched a lot of the secondary versus the Jets, and I didn't see many guys wide open. Now, I don't necessarily think that maybe the patterns are too long for them. I don't know. Maybe they played a good defensive secondary, but there's some guys that are not open. So I don't know how many readings you can do in less than 3.5 seconds or 3 seconds for a rookie quarterback. First of all, he's got to figure out, is that a zero blitz? What is that blitz that they're going to run? And now you've got to hike the ball. So you've got to recognize things right away. And that takes a little, I'm not going to say little talent, it takes a little expertise and experience to get that down. And even when they do, you start disguising things right. If you're a good defensive coordinator and you start disguising things out there, you can disguise it and fool Tom Brady.
Right.
Now, you may not be able to fool him all game, but if you can fool him long enough, it may be enough to win the game. And so all of these things happen. It's just how can you be creative on defense with your football team that is not a top 5 defense in any category, let alone 5? Because if my defense is a top 5 defense in 5 categories, I'm going to play the same defense and say, beat me.
Yeah.
And that's what great defenses do. They say, beat me. I'm not going to do something stupid to lose the game. I'm going to have to make you do something great to win the game. And once you get your defense like that, all of a sudden, I don't know what happens, but it happens. And all of a sudden you go, oh, it's like back in 82 and 83 with our defense. All of a sudden, we didn't have really great personnel all over the place, but we had smart personnel. We had guys who knew timing and all of those things and could get away with doing this and doing that and cheating a lot. And that's what you hope your defenses can get to, a point where they can take advantage of it. Remember, Jets defense this year, they're very short on turnovers. They haven't taken the ball away.
Right.
They don't create fumbles. If it's a sack fumble, all right, maybe that's a fumble. How many interceptions have they had? Not even close. Where the guy drops it, I can count on one hand dropped interceptions on the Jets this year. So there's a lot to do that, and you've got to be able to do it with your brain, not your physical abilities. There's a big difference between using your brain right and using your physical ability. One can help the other, but they are not separate. If they're separate, you're not good enough.
So experience is a great teacher, and this week they play the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a very blitz-heavy team. Could that A, mean some trouble for Zach, and B, can he learn from this game and facing that, and can we learn how far he's progressed by how he handles the blitz this
What's
week.
this, a multiple choice
He doesn't
question?
like multiple
This
choice
is a
questions.
multiple
Come
choice
on, it's
question. I
week
can't remember the
15.
First part. Come on, what's wrong with him? He doesn't learn. It's unbelievable. Ask me a
There's
question
one
that I can remember.
He likes true-false questions. He likes
True, false.
He
How's
likes
Zach-
essay
Can
questions.
Zach survive the Dolphins blitz?
He
True or
can.
false? He can.
Can if in fact
Physically and mentally.
Yes.
Nice.
I mean, first of all, he's got to know. He's got to see the blitzes on film. Got to see him in practice. And what are you going to do? How are you going to react?
All right, but wait a minute, because you came on here a couple weeks ago. We were talking about this, and we talked about him seeing things at the line of scrimmage, and you said you don't know if he has the freedom to change the play at the line of scrimmage.
True.
So if he goes out there now, he's got to play. Is this the game where you have to let him have some of that freedom? Because if he goes out there and sees, okay, we're in zero blitz, I got to change this. Do you have to give him the reins in this game?
Let me just say
He's
this.
got to have a hot read, right?
Well, I think they're all hot reads, but whether you can change the play or not is questionable. Okay, it's almost like back in the early days of the Jets defense when Mosley changed the defense, and you didn't recognize it in the paper maybe, but you got ripped. You got ripped because the coach said, you don't change the defense. Well, I changed the defense, and it worked out, thank God, you know what I'm saying. I changed defenses every play.
You did?
Oh, yeah, because as much as you practice in a week for a team, they do things differently out there, and they do it at a different speed. And so there are times where you go, we can't play that defense against this team. You did all practice, and you played great in practice, but in reality, in real time, it's not a good defense against this team. So I would change here one way or another. Now, the defensive coordinator knew. I mean, I'd go over and say, Joe, we can't do that. Can't play that. We're at a disadvantage at the corner for that. Okay, we won't do that. Okay, all right. So if I call it again, just change it. Stuff like that, you know, because you're in for a game, and coaches need help, and they need help from players.
Well, not only
Players
that,
play.
but literally the chess match, and I don't know if a lot of people realize this when they're watching at home, but the chess match that happens from the time that they break the huddle to the time that they snap the ball is incredible with some of these quarterbacks and middle linebackers out there who do have the freedom to change the defenses. When these guys are going in motion, it's not just to get the defense looking in one direction, it's to see how they react.
What are they playing?
And
Man, zone?
Exactly. And so, I mean, if a quarterback sees that, hey, they're in the defense, I've just gathered more information, right? That chess game that goes on both sides, if you're not playing that, like, you're playing a different game at the NFL if you don't have that freedom in today's game.
Well, certainly, look. If the motion will have, let's say they change from, they're in man, and so when they change the motion, it changes the strength of the man defense. Who's going to cover it? Who's getting doubled? So if I can see that, and I know it, and I'm a quarterback, I know it's this half of the field I have to go to the right half. It's not to the left half.
But it's not even just that. I mean, you're seeing guys who are blitzing. Are we going to move the protection? Are we going to, by things that are getting up?
Already called.
Right, but some quarterbacks have the freedom to change it at the line, right?
The quarterback calls the protection. Most of the time, it's the quarterback,
right,
or the center, or someone on there. They'll go to Mike. When they identify Mike, they're identifying protection.
Oh, got it.
Right. So that's already done.
Right.
All right. So now you set your protection. Just because you run in motion, protection doesn't change. Protection's going to stay what it is.
But if you have a guy in motion and you see a cornerback come up off the edge that you think he's going to blitz now because you've sent this guy in motion, or it was a zone blitz, or now he's freed up because his responsibility changes once you send that guy in motion, you might shift the protection to the other side of the field if initially you were going the other way with it. No?
I don't believe that happens.
Okay.
I don't believe that happens. If that's coming up the quarterback, that's a quarterback's guy.
Okay.
The quarterback's responsible for a play.
No, I know. He's going to know if there's a free rusher.
A lot of times they don't.
Yes. And that's when they get killed, and then they throw a roughing the passer penalty.
How many times does an offensive tackle block down and lets the defensive end come scot-free?
Right.
That's a mental mistake. And by the way, when you have mental mistakes like that, you get your quarterback killed.
Yep.
And next thing, that's when the guy goes, he pats himself on the chest like it's his fault. No kidding. It's your fault. You know what? You'd be cursing him out. I got to tell you something. Because you can't do that. I mean, the game's about the least amount of mistakes, because you're making mistakes all the time. You're getting blocked all the time. You miss tackles all the time. You drop it. It's the mental mistakes, man. The physical mistakes, all right, you can make up for them. Mental mistakes, jumping off sides on 3rd and 4 or 4th and 4. Oh my God, that's just, that's just, go late. Be late.
Right.
Instead of being early. Come on. So anyway.
Let me ask you this before we get off. Sorry, but I know you want to move on to the next topic. But with Zach Wilson going in and out of the huddle here, and I'm curious because he says all the right things in the press conferences, and he has not thrown one teammate under the bus, and he takes everything on his shoulders. In that huddle, though, does he need to be saying, "Yeah, no shit, that was your fault over there," to his tackle, to his offensive line? Does he need to take control of that huddle? And have you seen anything that says he can or can't do that either way?
Look, that's a job you grow into. You grow into that job by proving that you can do your job. Once you prove you can do your job, and once you show people, I know what your job is, and you didn't do it, then it becomes a different issue. And
he's not there yet, though.
I don't think he's
so respect is earned.
Exactly right. Respect is earned, and then you can be a Tom Brady and curse out Gronk because he was a moron and he lined up on the wrong side of the figure or the field, or yell at somebody. But you get to a point where you don't want the quarterback yelling at you.
Right.
You don't want that because you're the guy that's the difference between making the play go or not go, and it's your fault. Man, that's a heavy burden to carry on offense because that may be the difference in a game. That could be a difference in 7 points, not 3, 7.
Is that worse on the field getting dressed down by the quarterback or in the film room the following week when it's pointed out?
Let me put it like this. You're not only going to get dressed down by the quarterback or another player on a team, you're going to get dressed down by your whole team and your coach when you watch the films again. And they may run it back 10 times. 10 times! And sit there and say, what are you thinking about? Come on, what are you thinking about? Everyone see this play? What does he think? Someone tell me what he's thinking about, right? Stuff like that happens. You're on the carpet. This is not some easy job where people walk around and go, all right, so I made a mistake. It doesn't matter. Oh, no. You're crushed in those meetings.
So Tua does get the ball out quickly and was 27 for 33 with 2 touchdowns against the Jets in Week 11. The Dolphins do not have a running game this week. Would you, as an old linebacker, blitz Tua this week?
I'm a run blitz guy. I'm a guy that says if I can't have my team improvise and adjust correctly, then I have to just make them do it. And how do you do that? Well, I set them in motion. And it's not like being reactionary, it's being proactive. So what I will do is, depending on the action of the running back, if it's towards the tight end, middle linebacker goes into A gap or C gap, depending where the defensive lineman is lined up. He's immediately in that gap going. And so he's committed. He's like he's like the pig in Ham and Eggs. The pig is committed.
Yes.
The chicken's not. He's
to the breakfast, right.
So you're committed. So now you are 100% at the line of scrimmage towards the running back, and I have the running back man to man, or I'm going to tackle him, or I'm going to continue and blitz the quarterback. Now they have to figure, am I blitzing? Is it a run? Am I acting? What am I doing? Because now, as he goes through the offensive line, the offensive line goes, where'd this guy come from? You're going to get another guy come free. So if it is a play-action pass, it's a dead play. If you don't get the quarterback, you got a problem. So on action, but it only is on action to your side. Doesn't mean everyone's blitzing. Only that linebacker that has that guy in coverage is blitzing, and the other guy now can take and sit back and even take a zone, because now you're really going to play half the field. Because right away, if you're going to blitz somebody, the quarterback's looking at 2 guys. Here comes the blitz. I got the hot guy. I got this guy. He can't sit back there for 3 hours trying to say, oh, let's see what's going to happen back there. So that's what happens. You become an attacking defense which makes the quarterback have to make a decision in 2 seconds.
So this prevents, in your mind, this is going to prevent that linebacker from having to make a decision. He knows what he's doing in there. You're trying to take a little bit of the thinking out of it for him.
No, I won't do that on a 3rd and 15.
Right.
But I'm gonna do that on a 1st and 10, and I may do that on a 3rd and 4. A lot of times I will run play action on you on 3rd and 4. So I'll run play action on you back. I'm gonna give you play action too. And then, then they don't know, are you really in man or are you in the zone? Because you can play zone behind a run blitz. So that's how I would do it. And then let them figure it out. And then stop doing it and do something else.
I'm going to look for that Sunday.
I don't think you'll see it, but that's who says it.
No, I hope I see it. Do you ever, let me ask you a question. You study a lot of film, obviously.
I used to study a lot of film like crazy, like you can't believe. Today, I don't study as much film because I can look at a field and watch 22 guys and go, oh, that's the problem. So is it worth my while to go watch and study a lot of film? No. But I would if someone paid me to do that. I'd do it.
Do you ever feel you have the latitude to share any of your insight from your experience with anybody on the coaching staff or any players with the Jets?
I don't. It's not my responsibility to offer information to people that may or may not want it. It is their responsibility to say.
To reach out to you?
Yeah, let's see if Greg Buttle.
Let's see what Buttle is.
Let's see what he has to say, or let's have Klecko come in and say. Let's have Marty Lyons come in and talk about the position and what he sees and why he saw it, or how to watch film, or what do you look at. It's not my role, and right now I'm certainly a role player, as I've always been. But
big time.
It's like it doesn't mean that you can't, but all the coaches out there have their hands full anyway, and there's always a lot of ways to do things. Some players can do that. Other players can't do it, and they don't know. They don't know anybody. They don't know me. I mean, I don't sit around and go to dinner with Jeff Ulbrich or Robert Saleh. I barely met the guys. In fact, if I walked by Ulbrich, I don't think he'd recognize me. I don't know. So, especially with COVID, now you don't see anybody. I used to be able to see everybody. You used to walk into the office with, when Rex Ryan was there, it was simple. But with Todd Bowles, he was great. You could sit around there and curse him out, he'd laugh at you. You know what I'm saying? Herman Edwards was great. Mangini was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Adam Gase, couldn't talk to the guy. So there's some coaches that embrace that role. Other coaches, they don't embrace it. They'll put up with it, but they don't embrace it. They don't know me. I didn't play for them. They don't, and again, a lot of that has to do with a comfort level on a former player or a media guy, for that matter. I mean, they're not just going to talk to any media guy and tell them anything until they're comfortable with him saying, all right, this won't be written or this will be written or whatever it may be. You never know. But that would be interesting for me. I'd enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like when I listen to you week after week, both in the office before we go on the air, on the show and during the podcast, you have a lot that you could offer. And I think a lot of veterans would have a lot that they could offer. And if I was running a pro team, I would want to harness my resources, which is my alumni. And I mean, I don't know how to use them, bring in a guest speaker every week or just consult them, but it just dawned on me listening to you talking about the middle linebacker's responsibility. It makes perfect sense, and I wouldn't have thought of it until I heard you say it. And it seems like it could really impact the game plan, especially against a younger quarterback like Tua. So I just think that...
I think for the younger players, too, out there, when the game is complicated, I mean, one of the things is just, as you said, simplifying it to take some of the thinking out of it. Because I could see sometimes it looks like in there, they're like, okay, so what was step 1 and what was step 2? And then the play's over.
Right.
And they're not in the right position or they're in no man's land.
You know, it's a simple thing that again, a tongue in cheek. I have my PhD in football. Are you kidding me? It's not like I've just started to pick up a football.
You've done 10,000 hours, as Malcolm Gladwell likes to say.
Yeah, probably more than that. But,
Yeah.
And I've been beaten enough to know what not to do.
It's literally been beaten into you.
Which is probably what you remember more,
right.
the bad plays and the good
Look at
plays.
it is that, you know, there are players, and I say this, that are strictly linear. That means I can run a 4.5 Yeah, but can you catch the ball? That becomes three-dimensional. Once you get out of the linear expression of football and you get into the geometric symbols of it and the physics of it, you're going, oh, I need a different type of player. I just can't have the 4.3 guy or the 4.5 guy. If I have let me just make this comparison for our little podcast here, okay? Ronnie Lott and Darrelle Revis. What's the difference, in my opinion, between Ronnie Lott and Darrelle Revis? Both were pretty smart football players. Both had physical abilities, bar none. Darrelle Revis had more physical ability than Ronnie Lott did. Ronnie Lott had more football knowledge of what the defense was doing than Darrelle Revis did. Darrelle Revis was
on an island, right?
I just want to say, just cover the guy. All right, though that's a lot of physical and knowledge of watching film and seeing what the guy's going to do. So it wasn't like Darrelle Revis was some moron on the corner that had great ability. He was very smart, but he was separated from a defense. Ronnie Lott he's the defense. He knows what Darrelle Revis is doing and Greg Buttle is doing and Joe Klecko's doing. And he knows on this play, this is what they're going to do, so I'm going to anticipate this is going to come here and he'd come take your head off. That's a great player, okay, that you can do both of those things. Ronnie Lott, let's just pretend, ran a 4.8 40. He was faster than that. But his 4.8 would be faster than a 4.6 because of his knowledge of what the hell's going on.
Right.
Geometry is about angles. The whole football field's geometric. It's not linear.
And so going back to what you were saying earlier about your defense that you played on when you were saying you were cheating, you weren't taking supplements and that sort of stuff. It's that you got a step, you moved a step earlier.
A mental edge.
Right, and because you saw where it was going to go. And so that's what Ronnie Lott's doing.
Always anticipate, don't guess. That was the Buttle mantra. Always anticipate, don't guess. If I didn't know what the play was, I was not guessing. I'd be late. I'll be late. Late is better than over pursuing. So late is better on a play action pass than jumping up into the line of scrimmage and having hit a pass behind you. So those are certain simple rules of play. Makes you faster, and you can't believe it. You know, the angle, don't false step because the angle gets greater. Keep the angle as small as you can for the running back because you don't want that running back to have a big angle. Well, he can do anything to you. Always attack him. Never take your eye off of a lineman. A lot of linebackers take their eye off the lineman and look at the running back. Meanwhile, what happens? He gets cut. He gets chopped. You don't know because he's not looking at the lineman. I already know where the running back is going. I don't have to find. Well, where's the running back? So there's certain things.
I had a Bugs Bunny Elmer Fudd moment. Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
I'm telling you, it happens out on the field. You see it every day, and you know exactly. I know what the linebackers do. I'm going, what are you looking at? Why would you look? Don't look at this. No, don't do that. What are you sitting back? You're 6 yards deep already. Why are you going? So when you look at those things, there are certain simplicity rules when you play. And a lot of it has to do with geometry, a lot of it has to do with physics, and then comes talent. You know, and if you are strictly a linear player, you're not long in the league. You know, it's like Bob Hayes was a linear player. This guy was fast.
Bullet Bob Hayes, Olympian.
Right. In those days, he could get away with it. He could catch the ball 70% of the time.
So do you see any Ronnie Lotts on this team? And I don't mean Ronnie, future Hall of Famers. I mean just guys who who are getting it, who do take that step.
There's only one Ronnie Lott on this team. I was going to say there's one Greg Buttle. This is C.J. Mosley. But C.J. Mosley can't do that defense all by himself.
Right.
He's handcuffed. You're handcuffed by youth. You're handcuffed by injuries. You know, you're handcuffed about, and again, I don't know what their game plans are or anything like that, but if C.J. Mosley can't change a defense, knowing that you're in this wrong defense, but you play the defense, well, then you play the defense. I mean, that you're handcuffed a little.
How about Marcus May before he went out? Do you see things? Because I mean, his contract's coming up. Is he?
I've seen Marcus May as a good player. I haven't seen where I can see him be better than a good player. That being said, he could play 10 years for you.
Right.
Because he's only going to get better through experience. He may not get better physically, but he'll get better through experience. And once you're experienced and smarter, then it becomes a little easier for you.
And that's what you were saying about Ronnie Lott. He was smart. He understood what everybody.
That's correct. On top of the guy having ability, he was smart. You know, and he was smart with the whole thing. I'll tell you another guy that was tremendously so. Klecko. Klecko wasn't just a brute force out there. Smart guy. You didn't beat him twice. You didn't trap him. You think you're trapping Klecko? You're having a headache. The minute the tackle blocked down, he's crushing the guard. Lance Mel's sitting there picking his nose, going, I can't wait to make the tackle. It was awesome. No, he would never pick his nose, but I'm just saying, it's the way it works. You got to have players like that. You got to have players that are smart.
Prediction time. Speaking of smart, Mr. Buttle, the Dolphins are red hot. They've won 5 in a row, including beating the Jets in Week 11. Can the Jets win and play spoiler this week?
The Jets can win. The Jets don't have to play spoiler because there's nothing to spoil as far as I'm concerned with the Dolphins.
Well, there's milk.
Yeah, but I don't think the Dolphins are going to the playoffs. I just don't.
The land of milk and honey.
They need a little
Israel.
extra for next year. But they've won a few extra games. They've won 3 more games than the Jets. Were they 6 and 7?
Sounds
so
right.
They've won 3 more games than the Jets. But all I'm saying is that I think that the Dolphins are a good team. The Jets could beat them. But again, the Jets, to beat anybody, they can't make these mistakes that they've constantly made for the last 3 weeks. Forget the quarterback play, because the quarterback can play great. He can play great. And the Jets might lose 34-33. You know, I don't know.
I think that, yes, in any week, they say any given Sunday, so a team can win.
Listen,
but there's
they beat
no
the Titans and they beat the Bengals. That alone, to me, is enough to say, all right, they can beat somebody. They can play well enough. Maybe they just slip by the Bengals or slip by Tennessee. But Tennessee, Tennessee lost to the Texans and the Jets.
Yeah.
If they miss the playoffs or they get out of a bye because of those 2 games, that's right. Shame on them. But anyway,
I just don't think right now, though, with all of the injuries that the Jets have from those weapons and the way the Dolphins defense has been playing right now, I just can't see that offense being able to overcome it. It's an uphill battle that they're fighting going into this.
No one predicted that the Jets could beat the Bengals.
And they did.
By a mile. I mean, so my thing
By a mile?
No.
They were...
How do you score that many points on the Bengals?
Well,
How do you score that many points on the Tennessee Titans?
Well, look, the Tennessee Titans game...
All I'm saying is that you made a comment, I'm attacking you for it.
I understand that, but
you're saying this game is not any game. What are you talking about? Of course it is.
No. In the game, I'll speak to the Titans game specifically. In the Titans game, the Titans were shorthanded. They were missing their top 2 wide receivers in that one. The Jets were healthy. It was, look, I know you don't believe in trap games, but it was a down spot for the Titans. I think we predicted it here that they would win that game.
I predicted it.
I mean, yes, you definitely predicted it. But it just in this matchup, the Jets are the team that's shorthanded in this case.
True.
And they're going into Miami, a team that's hot right now, that's finding their stride. And look, I don't think that Miami are world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that defense right now is going to be able to take advantage of Zach Wilson, who hasn't played against this defense before, who has no experience against this defense.
All I'm saying, I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is, if they don't do that and Zach Wilson plays well, the Jets could still lose this game because their defense hasn't played well enough to me to even say they could be competitive.
So how could you pick the Jets in this one? Listen,
because
I'm not
you could
saying
win. Because all Miami has to do is turn the ball over twice.
100%. There are black swans out there, right? There are black swans, but I got to pick one. Different. It's different than the book. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Book was better.
All right, so I'm letting you off because I like you.
All right, I appreciate
I like you
that.
too, Joe, but I'm not letting you off. There's absolutely no way the Miami Dolphins, this team and this roster, win 6 games in a row. I'm just telling you, it's not possible. This is the week they lose. Jets win by 15.
Wow, 15.
15-0 maybe? What do you think? I don't know.
It's not going to be 15-0.
All right, let's move on to the Giants. So the Giants, for the 5th straight season, are guaranteed to have a losing record. Mr. Buttle, does that reflect on the general manager?
Why does everything, when a team loses, reflect on the general manager?
Personnel.
Well, over a long haul.
Yes.
They have a really good quarterback. Does somebody want to debate that? That kid Jones is a really good quarterback.
Well, he's not playing.
Okay. That's the general manager's fault, right?
No, it's not.
Well, it is if you don't protect him.
The Giants really had
it is if you don't protect him.
They need more hog mollies to protect him. And then his neck.
Everybody has injury. I mean, come on. Everyone has the same thing. I don't know if it's Gettleman's fault or not, but he's going to take the fall. I mean,
so he is. So we can
take the fall.
Can I move on to the next question then?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So you played in a ton of rivalry games. Do you think playing Dallas, an arch rival, is enough to lift the Giants to play better and possibly win?
You know, it's a funny question because we did our arch rival at the time when I played with the Miami Dolphins. There was one time where the Dolphins couldn't beat us like 6 games in a row. That's 3 years. Then we couldn't beat them 6 games in a row. And those rivalry games are weird, and it's not about. I don't think it's about, we're going to show you. I mean, that's not it. It's just that when you get into these rivalry games, I think they bring the best out in you, in your ability. Now, if you're a good football team, you're going to be better. And if you're a bad football team, you're going to be lucky. And so what happens is the mix of luck in those games, depending on when the time of the play happens or whatever, all of a sudden the ball bounces your way, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's why I love rivalries, because you just can't say that the Dallas Cowboys are going to go beat up on the New York Giants. You've seen too many games that say that's not true. Who knows? Who knows what is Barkley playing? Saquon Barkley playing this week?
Yeah.
Supposed to.
Yeah, why not?
If I threw him the ball 15 times, do you think I got a good chance of winning? I do. If I don't throw an interception, you think I have a good chance? Well, I don't care who's playing. Dak Prescott somehow throws them. They get tipped and they get intercepted. So maybe that's not his year. They got a good football team, but they've had a hard time winning. They've squeaked away and they squeaked losses. I'm not so sure Dallas is an all-out win this week. The Giants, I'm impressed with the way they're playing team defense. They really are playing good team defense. Doesn't mean they're great, but they're making plays. And that's the onset of becoming really good. Make plays.
Do rivalries matter as much today with free agency being as prevalent as it is? Because the roster turns over so much.
I would tend to agree with that. I mean, during my era, it was
becomes less personal, right?
You were with the team for 10 years, and you didn't go anywhere else, and you hated the Dolphins. That's what it was.
As you should.
That's right. And maybe in the middle '80s to the middle '90s, you hated the Buffalo Bills because they were kicking ass, and then from 2000 on, you hated the New England Patriots. Yeah. So it changes. The fan base changes who they hate. And the players only change who they hate because of how long you've been on the team. 6, 7 years, you're gone. So, then it can change. They won't even remember who the Dolphins were. Right?
Miami's got the oranges, but Buffalo's got the juice. Back to your days. So quick, let me circle back to Daniel Jones. He's expected to miss this week and possibly the rest of the year. We don't know. We'll find out. Do you think that could actually help him? Because they'll bring him back saying that there's not a complete body of work where if he played the rest of the season and didn't play well, they might have moved on. They've got 2 draft picks in the top 10.
They have 2 draft picks in the top 10.
Currently. We'll see where they end up at the end of the season. Yeah.
Well, when they beat Dallas this week, they could fall out of the top 10, but yeah.
Why did they fire Jason Garrett?
Because they were scoring, I think, like 10 points a game.
13, right? 13 they were averaging?
So maybe within that offense, and I'm just using this, and I don't know that it to be true, maybe within that offense, it wasn't built for Daniel Jones. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't watch the Giants all the time, but because I'm watching the Jets. So maybe it's just not what he was. And maybe that offense was built for Saquon Barkley and then Daniel Jones just to get him the ball. Or maybe that offense was built for the tight end, but they don't have that tight end. I don't know. And so I'm not so sure that you can go into this next season saying, I need a quarterback.
But I
love Daniel Jones. I think he's a good player.
I agree with you, too. I think that Daniel Jones is a good player. I think they really do need some help on that offensive line. They've had so many swings and misses. The guys they keep don't work. The guys they let go seem to work elsewhere.
Yeah.
One of the guys we were talking about this last week, Zeitler, is another guy who's been playing well. But if this offense wasn't built for Daniel Jones, that's just mind-numbing because Garrett came over, Jones was already on the team. So he's putting in the offense. You think he's doing it around his quarterback.
Do you let me just say this. Listen.
You just clutched your chest. I didn't know if that was a heart attack or if that was, I have so much care about what I'm going to say.
I care about what I'm saying because I really believe this. I mean, you take a guy like Andy Reid, who's an offensive genius.
Yeah.
He probably would have won the Super Bowl against the Patriots if he had any defense. But my thing is that that is a creative look at game planning. Does that change my mind in play calling is everything? No, play calling is not everything. It's the players. But if you use your players that boy, this guy's going to be open. He's going to get open. I'm going to call this play. Okay, why do you call the play? Not because of what the defense is playing. The defense might change the defense. You're calling what your offense can play against any type of man that they're going to run or any type of zone that they're going to run. So your players become what you can do. Now, if you're going to say, this is what my X's is, I'm going to run let's call it a West Coast offense. Well, the West Coast offense is built just because I think the scheme is going to beat everybody. I don't care who I have at quarterback.
Right.
As long as you don't throw interceptions, my scheme is going to beat everybody. And maybe that's true. I'm not so sure it's true with a rookie quarterback that's only played from a shotgun position than a guy that's under center or on any of those things or wants a boot and wants a waggle. So my thing is he's got to learn that. If that's the case and he's got to learn it, you can look back to a couple games and say, Mike White played pretty good in that offense. So maybe there is some truth that the offense is pretty good.
Mike Glennon has not played very good in the offense.
He has not looked good.
No, I understand.
Including his touchdown run was pathetic.
Well, but so again, there's some guys that aren't built for anything other than I'm going to be able to be the backup quarterback. I'm going to get paid $1 million, and I won't fumble the ball.
I could be built for that role.
Right, I like that job. I'll take it. Where do I apply? Indeed.com?
Because when they snap the ball, they break your fingers when that ball hits your hands. I'm just telling you.
I do have delicate fingers.
You're very delicate.
They've never been manicured, but I could use one.
But they should be. None. He does not do work.
No. His wife mows the lawn.
Yes, it's true.
I live in Brooklyn. I don't have a lawn.
But if you had one, your wife would mow it. So speaking of quarterbacks, Jerry Jones is not happy with his as the last question in this game. But is it horses for courses? Dak did torch the Giants for 4 touchdowns in their first matchup. What can the Giants do to reverse that?
Jerry Jones is in a psychological warfare. Okay, so
with his own quarterback,
right? So he wants to show that he cares and he's concerned, but he's not going to curse him out. I'm not so happy with that play. Okay, you could say that. Okay, because he's got a different relationship other than with his players. He was a GM for a long time, so there's a lot of that. There's difference on how that team is run. So that being said, is that. I don't think it means anything to Dak Prescott about that. Okay, I think that he's his own man now. He knows what he can do. There are times where you get into trying to make the play because the last guy missed it, tipped it up in the air, and now they had a pick six. Wasn't even your quarterback's fault. So now you're behind, and now you got to come back. Now the pressure's on the quarterback. I like Dak Prescott. I really do. I think that he's the reason that the Cowboys defense is pretty good, but he's the reason why they move the ball. That he gets it good. He's a good competitor. He can play the ball, throw the ball anywhere. I like Dak Prescott, right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, I'm not going to tell you.
I'd take him in DC.
They saw life without him last year, and it didn't work out too well.
So well for them.
No.
Washington football team win the division. So prediction time here on the podcast, Mr. Buttle. Who wins the rivalry game this week?
The rivalry game goes to the Cowboys for 2 reasons. I'm just saying for 2 reasons. Because the Dallas Cowboys defense is really playing good.
Yeah.
The Giants defense is playing good, but their offense is not. No. And they're not a scoring machine. You're going to have to score 28 points to beat the Cowboys. The Giants aren't going to do it. So unless the Giants defense gets 2 pick sixes or something, or this punt return, I don't see the Giants beating the Cowboys.
Right now, there's just so much uncertainty with an already bad Giants offense. I can't see them being able to exploit the Cowboys defense. Micah Parsons, for all the talk about him not being LT and how he's downplayed it, I think he might like to come in here and put on a show against the Giants. The Cowboys have just too much talent all around the roster right now. So I think that they will win this one, and I don't think this one will be close.
Well, for posterity's sake, let me just say this. Micah Parsons is no LT.
Oh, I don't think he is either. He's got 130 sacks to go. He said it himself.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think it even thinks he is.
Yeah.
And there is only one of them, and that's why he was a GOAT. So my point is that Micah Parsons is good.
That being said, he might win Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
Might.
Could.
It'd be tough to beat out the kid from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He's playing great.
But I'll tell you what he's not going to win. He's not going to win the game
this
on
week.
Sunday.
There you go.
That's exactly right.
You are
what?
Such. You are
what do you
such,
mean?
You're such
I'm pandering. I'm not a homer. I'm pandering to our audience. Okay. Shameless pandering. Giants 21-20 this weekend. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Mr. Buttle.
21-20.
21-20.
1 point.
That's 3 touchdowns they could do.
You said 15-0 in the Jets game.
I did.
Well, that's the first one, not 1 point.
They're going to pitch a shutout. Right. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the games, everybody.
They don't have enough hard drives to download all of your consciousness. No. They need a server farm.
It'd be like walking the strip in Vegas.
Right?